Now I have your number. Thanks.
Hey, I'm Robbie Kramer. You're listening to the Leverage Podcast, where we discuss using your social skills to hack dating, travel, finding your dream job, and becoming a complete man.
What up, guys? We are back with a dude who is quite the powerhouse in this space. You've probably seen his name around if you've been in the around the block in the dating coaching, seduction industry, whatever you want to call it, personal growth. That's Jay McDaniel Conto, and he's an executive coach with Modern Flirting. You guys have, if you've been listening to the podcast, you guys know Jared Psych Lawrence. He's been a guest, I think, 2 or 3 times on the show. So we've got a cohort of his. Jay, thanks for coming on. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. So tell us how you got into this mess.
Funny enough, the way that I got into this is probably the same way that most people do. Mine was just a little different. I came from a really dark place. Originally, I had done a jail stint. And the funny part is that what actually got me into jail was the exact same reason that I got into this. I was frustrated with understanding what does it take to create attraction with members of the opposite sex. I didn't know what to do. I spent years being every single girl's gay best friend who was straight. I couldn't figure out what to do or what to say or how to dress. And I tried. It's funny because I was into girls even at a very young age, and I just didn't know what worked. So I tried weird stuff, fingernail polish, makeup, doing weird things like going to or using what's the word for it? I dressed up as Will Smith from Wild Wild West, thinking that was going to make me potentially more attractive to women. I joined the football team, joined the wrestling team, did martial arts, did all of the quote unquote typical guy things that you see based on Disney that gets the girl. None of it worked. Wrote love letters to the And
it sounded like you tried to so much different shit, like from joining the football team to painting your nails. That's
I've run the gamut. I run the gamut of what to do. I was peacocking before I knew what peacocking was. And I just need to figure this out, right? So I go to jail and I'm sitting there in jail. And in my last month, I'm thinking that if I don't get this area of my life solved, I'm going to end up back in this exact same place. I get out. I go to the first Barnes & Noble bookstore I can find. I was just there yesterday as I was doing some filming for YouTube. And I had this sense of nostalgia because I remember the exact section where I went to go find a book on how to be good with women. I go through the dating for dummies.
Back up for a second. So maybe it's personal, you don't have to answer, but how did you actually end up in jail? What'd you do?
So house robbery.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And you said it kind of related to chicks. I don't see the connection there.
Okay, so the reason I was robbing the houses or trying to rob houses was because I thought it would give me the bad boy image to be cool because women like bad boys and jerks. That's why I did it. Give me that bad boy street rep, like, getting shot 9 times like 50 Cent. All of a sudden, the I think there's a great saying not great saying, but there's a great the music video back then by Mike Jones was like, back then they did want me, now my hoes all on me. This is the type of stuff that I tried, literally thinking that was going to get me girls. None of it actually worked. So I was like, I need to go solve this. I go to the local bookstore. I'm looking for a how-to book, and I see all these books, and none of them are what I'm looking for. Not dating for dummies, not relationship for dummies, not unleash the Mac within. And I finally see a little black book, gold lettering, looks like a Bible. I'm like, this looks really interesting, right?
Wait, I still have one more question though about the jail thing. So, sorry. And I'm guessing the listeners might too. So, I mean, I guess there's a double benefit there because if you're successful, you get money too. But like, how long was the robbery going, and how like bad did that get? Like, how did you get caught?
So the funny part is, how I ended up getting caught is I ended up going in. We had thought we were casing the house. Reality is we didn't case the house properly. We didn't know the timing of when people, like, everyone has habits. Yeah. And if you don't really identify the habits of when to enter, then your chance of getting caught are going to go up extremely high. And I'm not condoning robbery to anybody at all. Please. I'm just trying to say that I wasn't
This
very
is amazing
smart
content.
about this.
Before we get into dating stuff, we got to talk more about this. This is great. So, so step one is case the house, right?
Right? Step one, case the house.
It's like Home Alone, where you like
Right?
show
Yeah.
when they're leaving.
Pretty much the sticky bandits. We're not the wet bandits. We're the sticky bandits.
Sticky bandits.
Yeah. So
Okay,
I didn't case the house
how big
properly.
was your team?
Oh, it was just 3 of us.
Okay. And how many houses had you guys hit up before you got caught?
Honestly, it was only a couple. This last one was like like the bigger house, because we go up into the nicer neighborhoods, right? You're going into that place and they probably more than likely got an alarm system. So you're more than likely kind of like looking for a new house that might not have one.
Got it.
Go to the proper house. Here's the problem though. The time that when we go, the person clearly had, you ever see when your parents come home early, because when they're usually gone, right? So when to if they're going to ditch, when to sneak off. Well, this person clearly forgot something. So they come back. So we're like, we get into the house, right? We're thinking they're gone because this is the time they usually leave. Clearly they forgot something. Within a matter of 10 minutes, they're back.
Shit.
So now we're like, not only are we in the house, like we're clearly caught red-handed, like with the stuff. There's no better, the hand in the cookie jar expression, just like sitting there with like this really expensive vase. And the part that's interesting is that I didn't know at the time that depending on how much you steal, can become how much more or less time potentially that you will serve, or how big of a strike potentially you can get. Once you go above $500, you now are in felony territory. Correct.
Right. Yeah.
And because we're in bigger homes, that was very easily a felony. Lucky enough for me, I happened to get my records expunged and they're sealed.
Oh, good. So
that was nice for me.
So the homeowner came home and you guys you're holding the vase or whatever. And and what happened? Like the police don't instantly show up. Was there you guys didn't try to run or how did that go down?
Okay. You let's just say this. You try to drop the stuff, try to immediately run, right? You're thinking you're going to go ahead and go run out of the house. Okay. The vase is heavy. Let's just say you just drop it, break it, try to go leave, right? Person sitting at the only exit point of the house, you can do bust through the friggin' window. Now that helps your chance to get injured. Second, when you're caught in that moment and you ain't ever been caught before and you ain't planning to run, you just freeze for a bit. Like that first freeze. I'm 16.
Right.
I'm 16. What, I'm not thinking get ready. I'm just frozen. And then I'm then the fight or flight is you might want to run now. At this point, they've already seen your face. You've frozen, but they recognize you, right? You go to the local freaking high school that's not far, right? So it's not hard for the person to run into you. And the area that I was in is a very small kind of neighborhood, very small kind of town.
Okay.
So at this point, I'm let me go think I'm going to run. 2 are already out the door. I'm the last one because I'm a little bit, huskier. Sucks being fat. Can't move that fast. So I'm trying to get out the door. Trying to get out the door or whatever. Get close to the door. The guy happens to block me in. I'm man, if I hit this dude, I'm kind of stuck. And I'm thinking about swinging, but I'm if I hit this dude, that's even worse. Because now you can get attempted murder.
Right.
I'm just fuck it. My goose is cooked. Guys are gone. I take it. I plead.
Okay. Well, you took it like a man. That's good.
Right. Took it on the chin, I guess.
I mean,
well, technically I couldn't have took it like a man because I didn't get the robbery. So technically I didn't take anything like a man.
Well, you're you got me. You got me. I'm not gonna make it worse because I think a lot of people. That's how you hear a lot of bad stories. You're caught. You don't know what to do. You panic. Fucking hit someone. Maybe you hurt them, and now you're in real deep shit. So Anyways, all right. That answers all my questions. Thanks for indulging me. So how long were you in jail? And was it juvie?
Yeah. So lucky enough for me, so it was juvie, and I was on max unit because of the amount of what I took. That's why I'm on max unit, basically with real felons, convicted killers, rapists. I'm in with the works. I only do 3 months because I happen to have a really good attorney. But originally, what I potentially was going to go for was 8 years. If I had if I hadn't had a very lenient judge and a good lawyer, and because this was my first offense, I'd have been fucked.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's great. They were able to expunge everything, and you didn't spend much time in there. But
well, I had to do probation for a couple years, community service.
What was
and therapy?
I'd imagine therapy would be helpful after that. But any crazy stories while you were in jail?
Yeah. Super big dude. Talked to me. He's going to like try to fight me my first day and take my snacks. Rule of thumb is you don't want to get punked while you're sitting in jail. Make the dude think you're completely insane. Men are more afraid of social humiliation or dealing with someone that's potentially insane because someone that's insane has no boundaries and they won't potentially stop. So if someone if you're a dude and you're bigger than me, I don't need to talk shit to you. I don't need to try to give you simple responses. Just make you think I'm absolutely insane and you're going, that dude's fucking nuts. I'm just not going to fuck with him because you're thinking it's going to be a fair fight. You're thinking this is a rational, sane person.
Mm-hmm.
If you think the person's going to eat your face, you're not going to fight him.
Yeah, that's true. Very good advice.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to as you were saying, you're trying this, you're trying that, painting your nails, football, jail.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Then what? Or like what happened next?
At that point, found the book,
Found the game. Yeah.
Read the first 5 chapters while I'm sitting in the store. All I know is I have to have this book. This is my first day out of jail at this point.
Mm-hmm.
My first day out, and I'm like, I find the book. Read the first 5 chapters. I relate so much to the characters. I'm thinking I have to have this book because if I don't get this area solved, I'm going to go back. So, but I don't have any money to afford the book. So I take that 5-finger discount and run as fast as my legs could carry me. I guess
got away this time.
Right, I got it around this time. Took it like a man this time.
So you actually stole the game.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah.
That's hilarious. Oh man.
Stole the book. Go home.
Tell Neil. You
know what? Funny enough, I would love to meet Neil and just tell him thank you. Funny enough, I mean, I guess I'm not too far off from Neil because one of the coaches happens to be the VH1 winner of the season 1 of the show. I work with the guy. So if I wanted to meet, right. And if I also wanted to meet Neil, I could just go through a mentor's mentor to meet Neil directly. Apparently, that world is really, really small.
Oh yeah,
so,
you'll owe him a royalty for the copy, whatever he makes.
Right, man.
Like
I have no problem. I have no problem paying for that book and be like, dude, I want to just say a major thank you because that book was the first book that really changed my life. It really did. Because it got me into self-development. It got me into working on and changing myself for the better. Because once you start getting into this, you start to realize at some point, all of the skills and all the tactics are amazing. But fundamentally, if you don't change what's going on internally, as well as externally, you're not going to have any real change. You can put on a facade and put on a mask, but who you are will always bleed through. And there's so much science behind the idea that who you are, you're going to continue to attract who you are. And not even from the idea of like law of attraction, just strictly from the idea of familiarity. This is why men date their mothers, women date their fathers. The whole idea of the Oedipus complex is because it's familiar to us, right? So if you come from a traumatic background, guess who you're going to date? Someone from a traumatic background. If you come from being abused, you're going to look for someone to abuse you because it's just familiar. So everything that is familiar to you, you constantly seek out companionships, business partnerships to keep reliving that abuse over and over and over again because it's an easy safety and a coping mechanism because it takes energy to change and the brain's lazy. It doesn't want to change itself.
That's for sure. Yeah, it's familiarity, like you said. It's it feels like love to you. You know, if you had an abusive parent and that in a fucked up way feels like love, you'll probably find an abusive partner.
Correct.
In some way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, my experience, I also got into this stuff as a function of reading the game. And like you said, it just opened up my eyes to personal growth in general. But it's really just the beginning of the rabbit hole. So what happened after that? Because, the game is mostly like a tactical book.
Yeah.
Lions use this shit, do that. Yeah.
Well, at that point, I had made up my mind that I was going to dedicate my life to this and I was going to become an instructor. I knew at 16 that that specifically was what I was going to do because it just seemed everything in my life didn't really have that much interest to me until I read that book. And just I took to it like a duck took to water. I went to school to find my first wingman the next day. I happened to find out that my high school earth science teacher happened to be in the community and I didn't know for 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
That became my favorite teacher. I was the kid who was ditching classes, stealing about a fifth of Jack Daniels, getting drunk every single day, trying to practice my skill sets. Come to find out, once he knew that I was in the community and he was in the community, instantly we bonded. I used to bring girls to his class to practice on them so that I could perfect my technique and he would just critique me. It was the closest thing I could get to getting instructor training. And the guy just took me underneath his wings. So he became like a father figure to me because my dad wasn't around. So right after that, I learned with him. I happened to find one of my other really good wings. He was kind of a natural. So he took a lot of this stuff and was able to refine it and help me to get even better with my skill set. I would go out literally 8 hours a day, 7 days a week. I like no longer had interest in school and just practice. I would ditch school, would be sitting in the hallways, or I'd go to the mall every single day and just practice, like thousands and thousands and thousands of sets. This is in my early years. Like, and I had a rule. I could never say no if someone asked me to go out to go practice. Because I knew if I wanted to be an instructor, I needed to practice at the level of potentially being an instructor and perfect it. I had to just match it in everything. So I just did all of it. Everything they told me to do, it wasn't if I'm going to do it, it was just how much I'm going to do it. Like that was the thing. It was like, you tell me to jump. I didn't want to know. I didn't want to be like, oh, how should I was just like, jump, how high, how many times? And then I'm going to double that, like, and just do it. I was a workhorse about this. And all I would do is study and work.
You were just approaching nonstop
Every single day. And I kept putting myself in varieties of situations to learn.
You know, I mean, that there's certainly, you know, the fastest way, or really the only way to really get
immersion
is immersion and approaching. You got to fucking approach. And, and, you know, I obviously tell my clients all the time, but the majority of guys that actually sign up to work with me are guys that are just like, they cannot approach. They're just too scared. They haven't done it. They know they should do it. They've watched a shitload of content. They bought this course, they bought that course. And it's like, at the end of the day, you just got to fucking approach. Luckily for me, and it sounds like for you, you know, I didn't really download or consume as much content. I just went out and fucking approached like a madman every day, all the time. John Wingman just did that. Like just as you're describing it, similar story. I mean, there wasn't as good content back in the day. It was basically just like some other, you know, some other like forums and stuff. Like how you could just binge YouTube for eternity and never get any better. But that's of course. So where were you living at the time, and where were you going out? Malls?
So where I was living, it was the Inland Empire. So I was going out. The place I was going to all the time was the Montclair Plaza. That's where I was going. I would spend 8 hours a day. I was either going there, Victoria Gardens, or Ontario Mills all day long, just like a workhorse. And then what was good enough for me is within the next, I believe, about year 2, I happened to make some friends that became my lifelong wings. And for me, back in the day, I didn't have any wings. I had to train all my own wings from scratch. So I had to be good enough at it to teach someone else how to be good enough at it, which then gave me wings to be able to go out with. And it's crazy because I was able to learn very early on the benefits of the skill sets of this. Started increasing my income because people were giving me job offers. So I would take jobs that would allow me to practice. Only jobs that would allow me to practice skill set, sales, right? Door-to-door sales. You got to go out, you got to approach, you got to go talk to people, right? If I want to learn how to build a really amazing social circle that I could use for business, right? Then, positions like public relations, things like that. I would try to work in fields, nightclub promoter, anything that would allow me to just keep perfecting the skill set and keep practicing. Those were the jobs I went after because I was like, in order for me to master this, I needed to spend as much possible time as I can mastering the craft. And I need a certain level of freedom to where I can make a lot of money, right? And or at least very short money, just enough to be able to just keep going out and keep practicing. And that's just what I did for.
Tell me about the nightclub promoting, because that's definitely one of the fastest ways towards improving with women. Like, obviously, good nightclub promoters are the best guys with women you'll find.
Exactly.
So how'd you get into that? And tell me a little bit about that. I think that'll be interesting.
So at this time, I just became an instructor for a company, but I'm not getting results. This is 10 years in. I'm not getting results, and it's 10 years in. 10 years, and I'm not getting shit.
What company?
Nothing. Okay, I'm not going to mention names because I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. We can talk about that privately for sure. But worked for a company, right? And I remember sitting there hearing the guy tell him like, yo, man, I don't know what to do. There's this 10 I want to talk to. And I didn't really understand what was not working. And the guy tells me, you need to be grounded in your essence. I'm like, I don't even know what the hell that means. So I get pissed. I go to the other instructor.
Maybe it was Brian.
Right?
My former business partner used to say that shit all the time. All he talked about was being grounded.
Oh my God, it's so irritating.
I'm not clowning on him because, I mean, it's not like he's wrong. But yeah, when you tell a guy who's just like, what do I say? What do I do? And you're like, you need to be grounded. You're like, what the fuck does that mean? Be grounded. Yeah. Like, I'm on the ground.
Like, what do you mean being grounded? Dude, I hear, oh my God, I hear the other instructor, I ask him, he says, just go run the hurricane. This is the advice I'm getting. And I remember going, this is retarded. And yeah. I'm getting ready to literally quit and just say, I guess I'm going to be stuck with average kind of girls. I guess I'm never going to really get this down. And I'm like depressed, but I decided I'm going to go out for one more night. That was the turning point. Go to the Roosevelt, meet this guy. He's with this ridiculously gorgeous girl. Gives me the best advice I could have ever got. Stop listening to dating coaches and start listening to guys who get laid. Get a tailor, get in shape, go develop an attractive lifestyle, because hot girls don't fuck guys who look like you. Ouch.
Wow. That's amazing.
Listen to that, dude. Within 6 months, I went from having no results, none, to 130 new girls within 6 months. From no results to 130. And I'm going, it can't be this easy. It can't be this easy. That's what I'm thinking, because it's just like something's wrong here. So then now I'm going to reverse engineer why it works. Took me another couple of months. At that point, I understood why all of it worked and understood the psychology behind it. And I was like, this is so simple. I don't get how. And it was once I understood that I could just look at patterns for what works. And then after getting success, reverse engineer the why. Then what it allows me to do is to go teach a student that's a hard case and walk him through systematically exactly what to do. Because all these contextual nuances, a guy who's just coming into this doesn't get, right? Unless you've been in 1,000 fights, you don't know the contextual news. You don't know what type of punch is going to come at you when the way they're going to turn that wrist, or that way that shoulder is going to flex when his jab is coming. You're not going to know those things, or you're not going to know what he's setting up for by the way he positions his knee, or what his lead foot is, right? Those are things you only learn from actually being out there in the world around you and practicing with people. And then when you get stuck, then you can go back to the methodology and try to look at why. Because just because science can tell you this is why something works, it's going to work a little differently for you, because fundamentally you are different. The science across the board is the same. It's going to slightly change based on you, your lifestyle, the traumatic experiences that you've come from, good or bad programming. Those all can play a role in how fast or slow that you learn this. And I didn't realize that at the time. And then finally, once you get good, you have a new problem as an instructor. Simplifying it down so that way you can teach it to someone who's a complete beginner, and just to get them results. Now, to get them to your level is a whole different thing, but just to get them results, the simplification of that to where it's so simple that even a monkey can do it.
So in terms of you specifically, you got me into the nightclub promoting. That's how I got into the nightclub promoting. The guy told me to go become a promoter. So I went and did that the next day. Got a job as a nightclub promoter. So he told you to become a promoter, dress better, get in better shape, and what else?
Stop listening to dating coaches and start listening to guys who get laid.
Okay. So that's obviously, you can't give a better 1,000-foot sort of synopsis in that or advice. Like, that's obviously spot on advice. And at the time, I agree, dating coaches were doling out horrible advice left and right. And obviously, going from no results to, 130 new chicks, that's a pretty radical transformation. But those things that he mentioned aren't like overnight changes. Those things take some time. So like, how did that happen in a fast amount of time?
I also have to remember this. Once I started going out with him every day.
Okay.
Then during that 6 months process, I got a second mentor that was teaching the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got a third mentor who was teaching the same thing. Remember that whole thing about the Tal Lopez stuff with the law of 33? Spend 33% of the time with someone who's above you, who's a mentor that can teach you something, impart wisdom to you. Spend 33% of the time with people that are on your level, your wingmen. Spend 33% of the time with people beneath you to give back. What's funny is, from a scientific perspective, that actually is really smart. That 33% of the time with someone above you, you're getting new knowledge. You're learning new things to solve your problems. Guess what that does when you talk to your wings? You're discussing it. You're masterminding. You're learning it twice. When you teach to somebody else, Jim Quick talks about this. He's one of the foremost brain experts on learning and enhancing your memory. He has the acronym Be Fast. The T in Be Fast stands for teach. Because when you learn it with the intention of teaching it, and you have to teach someone, you have to simplify it, which allows you to learn it twice. So I'm getting to learn 3 times.
Sure.
Once from my mentor, discussing it with my wings, masterminding, and then teaching it to somebody else to refine the ideas. So I'm just locked in this beautiful infrastructure that's allowing me to rapidly learn, and I'm immersed in it. Because guess what I'm doing 7 nights a week? I work as a nightclub promoter. I'm just inundated with being out talking to people, because my whole job, especially, you know how Los Angeles works. I was an image promoter. I had to bring the best looking girls. So I started to realize 90% of what is talked about in these books does not work in that world. It works for average people at a bar, or it works for if you live in a big city where you can fail a lot, it works there. It does not work in a small town where everyone knows each other, because now you go back into the nightclub situation, or I like to call it the high school effect, where you fuck up and that circulates fast and everyone knows you're that guy.
So when you were trying to find girls for the nightclubs, what was your kind of like typical approach? How would you meet girls for that? What was your pitch?
You have a really good look, and you look at the type of girls that you have a really good look, and you look at the type of girl that I bring to the parties that I throw. Do you go out? Okay. That was it. Yeah. If she said yes, next follow-up question. Oh, so what are some of the spots that you go to? She's going to tell me, right? I'm qualifying now. I need to identify if she's the target market that I'm specifically going after. Once I knew that she was, I would just start going into having a normal conversation. I start relating with her. Oh, you've gone to this place and this place. Oh, you probably know this promoter, like this homie. So now I'm trying to create familiarity through talking about who we know and mutual alignments. Because with girls that are that pretty, the worst thing you can do is hit on them. The hotter the girl is, the worst thing you can do is hit on them. It's the worst way of ever being able to get them even remotely interested in you, because they're used to it already. From the moment that they grew breasts, guess what? We all know when we were in 6th to 7th grade, the moment we became interested in girls, we became creeps. Yep. And when a hug meant something, when a booty grab meant something, oh my God, she hugged you. Oh! Right? We just harassed girls at that age. And that was my pitch. That was my pitch. And from there, I would just go in, and I had a hard, fast rule. I had to get 50 numbers a day. Now, I would settle for 25, but I had to set it at 50, because then that way I'd rather overshoot, because at least if I got 25, what it allowed me to do is to not burn out all the girls that I met, because I had to keep in touch with them. And the worst thing to do is just keep blasting the same girls. Do you want to go out? Do you want to go out? Do you want to go out? Right. The best thing to do is to build investment, add value to them by inviting them to something really, really good, and then just find a non-annoying way to stay on their radar, which is add value. Do they need a job? What are the places they want to go? Invite them to like a really fun event, July 4th, right? Invite them to something good, something themed, something they're going to really enjoy. Because at some point, that promoter is going to piss her off, or she's going to break up with the boyfriend, or she's going to lose that friendship. And now she's going to need new social alignments. Now, who is she reaching out to? The person that's been staying on her radar, who's been adding value, not really asking for much, has only been inviting her to really dope stuff. You've built a brand in her head to where she trusts you. And now that's what's going to make her come out. And she's going to what? Bring her friends. Because hot girls always know other hot girls. Success always know other successful people. Small world problem.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's very. I mean, most of the promoters I've talked to, I used to invest in a couple buddies that were promoters, model house owners.
Oh, I know. I knew when you said invest, I was like, he's talking about the logistical setup by investing into a model house. Yeah,
Exactly.
we can have a conversation directly around that outside here because it's actually really interesting and it's really intelligent. It's very, very smart because you own the ladder at that point.
Right. Yeah, that's what we did. I mean, they were in New York, Miami, and LA. They weren't in Miami when we started working with them, but
they expanded.
We had Airbnbs and they needed model houses. So
I'm not surprised. That's smart. I'm laughing because I love how your thought process is. let's just say that is very accurate, my friend. Very accurate.
I was out one day when they were training one of their new guys to go recruit, models to live in the house. And the pitch was almost identical to yours. It was just adding in a little bit about the house. So, very, very direct, straightforward, not hitting on them. As you said, that's the worst thing you can do.
Models need a house.
Yeah.
Their agencies don't want to pay for it. They don't want to live with 6 other girls. They want to live in some place that's kind of luxurious, that's close, and it's going to be easy for them to go ahead and get to their castings. The model promoter wins because he has a free employee who's essentially going to go to every single casting, or if she's already hired, every new girl that comes in because she's under contract. It's literally, I think of models under contract like passive income. They just bring you more girls. It's kind of amazing.
It's very true.
ROI positive.
So one thing I wanted to ask you, relating this back to, I guess, day game, for lack of a better word, but I noticed in the U.S., as you said, you hit on a girl who knows she's, fucking hot.
Yeah.
You're just not going to get that far. And I noticed that, I probably did, 10 to 15,000 day game approaches all over the world. But I noticed that as my confidence kind of got higher and higher and higher, the quality of girls I was dating was higher and higher and higher, that the absolute, smoke shows, it was, doing the direct style approach day game. And by direct, I just mean like, you're not indirect, like basically like, hey, saw you, embarrassing myself to come flirt with you, or I wanted to come meet you, that sort of thing. It still worked sometimes, but it was with that quality of girl, like top, it is tough.
Very tough.
Yeah. Did you experience the same?
Yeah, I noticed that direct only worked the better looking that I was, and then even then it was still really low. Being good looking only matters when it's a scarce resource, right? Or the contrast principle is working in your favor, which means you're next to someone who's really, really unattractive. Someone who, it's like if a creepy dude walks up to a girl and you're just slightly less creepy than him, you look vastly normal because of the contrast principle.
Right.
If someone's really unattractive and then you're really attractive, or at least more attractive than them, you look vastly more attractive because of that. The problem is in big metropolitan cities, people like who I used to be, I'm hired to only bring the best looking people into the venue, which now creates the contrast effect to an even higher degree. So now it's so skewed in terms of what you find as attractive. However, the only thing that makes it beneficial is that because there's a small amount, the men in the room are scarce in terms of the amount of them, the women start to chase. And there's a sign it's not the beauty bias. I'm sorry. I forget the principle, but it talks that there was a study that I was reading, and it was talking about how when there's a higher ratio of male to females in a room, women become more inherently selective. But when it's the inverse, women become less inherently selective because the resource now becomes scarce. So I was like, that's the best place to be in. You with 15 girls, with only a couple other tables in the room, because then there's such an abundance of girls. They're locked in an infrastructural place where they have to chase. You don't have to say anything to make them chase. There's nothing you have to do but just sit there. And by virtue of sitting there with that much pre-selection, the logistics itself will cause the girls to chase because they are looking at everyone else chasing.
Yeah. And they're bored. There's no other options.
Correct.
When I first got into that world, you know, and as a function of my investment into those model houses, I got to go and hang out at the tables and, you know, drink for free and party with everyone for free. And the biggest mistake I made in the beginning was actually like trying to talk to the girls and trying to hit on the girls at the table. I'm like, here I am, you know, it's me, my promoter buddy, one other guy, maybe, and like 8 to 15 girls, you know, and I'd be like, oh, this one's hot, I'll talk to her. And just trying to talk to them was making me strike out completely, not just with her, but with all the other girls at that table. And it took me a while to figure that out. I'm like, wow, everything I learned in the pickup industry is completely wrong in this world. Like,
that's what I found out the hard way.
Yeah, me too. So it was a really interesting like mind fuck, because it's like, you know, just when you're not in that world, like you got to go and you got to start the conversation. Like if you're at a bar, you know, she's not going to fucking approach you unless you're in the best bar in the world and there's 3-to-1 girls to guys, and that bar doesn't exist unless you know, you might out in the boonies, maybe in Russia, but you know, in the US that doesn't exist. Like the ratio is always 1-to-1 or worse, more guys than girls.
Always.
But then when you're in a high-end nightclub where it's only, you know, clients, promoters, and models, celebrities, the ratio is always stacked in the guy's favor because they're, you know, they're paying the bill. So, yeah, hitting on the girls, doing anything to chase them kills their whole. They can't chase you if you're chasing them. So,
correct. Yeah. It's almost scary because when you're sitting in that situation, what you literally learn is the best thing to do is nothing.
Exactly.
And I know that doesn't sound like, so a guy's like, wait, what do you mean do nothing? Like
that's
there's
really
so many times
for people to hear. They're like, what do you mean do nothing? You got to do something. Like
I literally
talk to your friends, talk to the guys, like talk to the people.
Oh my God. I literally had someone get so angry with me because, they literally said, you don't have game. And in my head, I was like, the fact that you're thinking that I need to do something is exactly the reason that you don't have game. Because what you don't understand is all of the flash and dance that you're doing is not game. What actual game, really good game is, like really good influence skills is letting the other person do all of the heavy lifting, all of the work, you not saying anything about yourself, you not ever talking about yourself, you letting other people talk about you, and then just constantly downplaying yourself while putting yourself in a position to look powerful. And literally allowing the other person to just assume that you're someone of power by choosing your positioning. It's like marketing.
It's exactly like marketing.
And everyone comes to you.
It's like sales, you know, it's literally the exact same thing. Like if the best sales are, you never talk about the product. You never talk about the benefits. You just ask questions and they talk about themselves. They tell you what they need. And it just so happens you've got that product for them. Like, and that's a one-to-one call, but you can blow that up to the point where brand awareness and brand recognition.
Correct.
You're in the fucking store, you see a Pepsi and you see a name brand cola, you're going to grab the Pepsi.
Correct.
You're in a nightclub, you see Jay and 5 girls hanging on him.
You assume he's a somebody.
Yeah. Versus other guy, no girls. Even if that guy is significantly better looking, they're still choosing you every time.
Of course. And it's really funny because one of the videos that I put up on YouTube, that was the primary thing that I talked about, was that like one of the easiest ways of doing that. I always tell guys, go make female friends, but their whole thought is, especially with the whole red pill phenomenon, people aren't really getting it. You hear all these guys talking about spinning plates, and I'm like, it's a really great theory and practice. The problem is with the idea about the whole spinning plates thing is this. With spinning plates, if you're not seen with the pre-selection, it doesn't help. It's always like if a tree falls down in the woods and no one's around to hear it, did it really happen? I always make the joke of, if you were at the GQ party, but you didn't put it on Instagram, did you really go? It's the same thing. It is exactly the same thing. So if, you know, 'cause I remember having this really pretty girl. She called me out one day. I was at EPLP randomly because I think it was a fashion week after party. And she goes, "Oh, that's interesting that you're a dating coach." And this is at the time when I'm still haven't learned to not talk about myself.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, "Oh, it's interesting that you're a dating coach. If you're so good, then where's your girlfriend?" And it didn't strike anything with me at the moment. It was when I left that I was like, she's got a point.
Mm-hmm.
And then I literally at that point, I started to realize I'm no longer talking about myself at all. I'm not telling anyone anything. If anything, I'm actually going to downplay everything that I do. And all I'm going to focus on is letting other people talk about me. Let other people do all of the heavy lifting. Let my social media do a lot of the heavy lifting. And then all I'm ever going to do is hint at who I am by how I'm able to relate to the person, which causes them to become curious of, how do you know this much about what I do? Or how do you know this much about me if you don't do something like that? Now they're selling themselves on who you are because they're looking at all the hints in your conversation. And that's really powerful because they're selling themselves on you instead of you selling yourself to them.
Yeah. So you're listening to what they're saying, obviously, and finding ways to relate without talking about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the more time you spend around young, hot girls, there's not that much stuff that they typically talk about.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's like high school. 90% of it is just you look cool.
Exactly.
And my friends think you're cool, or my friends want you.
Right. Which club were you at on Tuesday? You know this promoter, you know that pro, you know this DJ, you were at this party. What about Coachella? What about Burning Man? It's like, it's all the same fucking conversations.
Oh, you're watching Addison Rae on TikTok. Oh, that's what's up. Or that's lit.
Right.
Get her Instagram, and then all you're doing is constantly just showing a really amazing, fun lifestyle. That's going to do all of the heavy lifting. Anything else is extra. Anything else is extra. The answer to almost anything except being creepy is more. How do you become more attractive to women? Be around other attractive women. Be seen all the time. What if she thinks you're a whore? I'd rather be thought of as a whore.
That's great.
Right? There's no such thing as bad publicity. The only bad publicity isn't having any.
Yes. That's exactly right. Better to be a man whore than a masturbator. That will work all the time. So a decent amount of the guys listening to this are either crushing it because
hold on really, really quick. I have to pee so bad, and I want to just pause it real quick so that we because I know you're about to ask a question about the guys. 2 seconds. Oh my God, I gotta pee. Oh. I have to compliment you on this. I absolutely love the fact that for you, there's only maybe a handful of instructors in the world that I can think of off the top of the head that have this level of understanding and the experience at that level. Because some of the stuff you said, I haven't heard many instructors ever mention at all. At all.
Yeah, same with you, man. I mean, most of these guys who are quote unquote coaches, you know, maybe they've done a bunch of approaches, but they've never been in the scene. They've never gone to the parties. They've never, you know, kind of been in the big leagues. You know, like you don't get into the big leagues until, you know, you're hanging out with the celebrities, you know, models, fucking going to the toughest parties to get into. You know, and then obviously there's the whole sex party scene and that whole world. But like these guys that are coaching, it's like, you know, it's a difference between like the PGA Tour and the guy fucking coaching at the local golf course, you know, teaching like.
And the guy at the PGA Tour, the guy that's at the local golf course is talking about how to get to the PGA Tour. He's trying to coach you how to get to the PGA Tour, and he's working at the local golf course. Something doesn't seem right there.
Exactly. He'd be coaching tour players if he was any good.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, he might be okay for a beginner. And, you know, it's all kind of relative. Like that, it's kind of like what you were mentioning earlier about your mentors, your peers, and the people you're teaching. Like as long as you're just better, even if you're only one step ahead of the guy you're teaching, you can be an effective coach. But
for sure, yeah.
If you're already doing well, but you're getting coached by someone who's not really qualified, you're forget it.
Exactly. Your results are only going to get so far. Every good basketball player is also limited by the teammates that are around him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's, that's where I got after, doing all the pickup stuff, doing thousands of approaches, like after cold approach and after like doing all of that, then that's when you're allowed to make that shift to, I guess what you and I would call a social circle game. For lack of a better word, like there's really no other way than to get into the whole nightclub promoter party scene. Cause that's
or the investor route. The way that you did it, you took a top down approach. I can climb the ladder or I can buy the ladder. Right. You did what the majority of the top level of success people do. You either have time or you have money. If you have time, then you can go build, you can build it. But the problem with building it is without systems and infrastructure, you can't scale it and it doesn't sustain itself. A real business is a business when you can leave it and when you come back, it's doing better than when you were there. But it takes time to build that infrastructure, right? I would rather, there's the whole Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down, broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling afterwards. Yeah, I'm going to let Jack and Jill come run up and down the hill, get themselves sick, work themselves into the early grave. I'm going to go and look at the schematics of the place, come up with a business plan, go raise capital, get investors, and then build a pipeline. And then sell water for $1 or sell it for 25 cents when you're selling it for $3. I've just literally pushed you out of business at that point.
Yeah.
Period.
I like that analogy, Jack and Jill. Yeah, that's good. So what I want to try to answer, or maybe the guys listening who are like, that all sounds good, Robbie and Jay.
Probably, but how do I do it?
I'm a 38-year-old computer programmer. I got some money in the bank, own my house. I'm not going to run out and be a club promoter. Too old for that shit. Don't really like clubs. I'll go do some day game maybe if you twist my arm. My friends are all married, So what do we say to that guy?
Here's what I'm saying. I'm going to say the same thing you said to my client, Mark. I'm not going to, sorry. I literally almost said his full name. Mark, I'm so sorry if you happen to tune in this and watch the replay. Thank you for, Went to this guy, computer programmer, got coin in the bank, owns the place in the middle of Soho. I'm staying at with him. He says, I don't have the time really to go out. I don't really have the energy. I said, okay, cool. How will we do this? Let's focus on setting up infrastructure. And then I'm going to teach you how to use these persuasion skills in the infrastructure. So what we did was I was like, what do you want? I want models. Okay, cool. What will it take to make it happen? Some type of business infrastructure that causes models to have to interact with me due to the nature of the business itself. Okay. Who do I know that has the knowledge, the expertise, the skill set, the assets to add value to make it happen? How do I add value to them to get them to help me? I learned that from a $10 million mentor of mine who was one of the best guys I've ever seen at building a really high level lifestyle. And happens to do Facebook marketing for, I believe, Mercedes and McLaren.
Legit.
Very, 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 very smart man. And he always says, bruv. Gotta love the Brits. So he was telling me this is what he wants. I said, okay, cool. I said, what's the lowest time investment thing that you can put into this? He's like, I can put maybe about, 10 to 12 hours a week. I said, okay, here's what I want you to do. I said, you're going to set up a mother agency. Because his skill set that he really enjoyed to love to do was a photographer. I told him to become a mother agent or like a scouting company. So what you do is you scout for talent, you take the digitals and you develop them since that's what you enjoy. Then you place them with agencies. That's your business. You take a 5% commission off of everything that the girl makes when she's signed to a big enough agency. Now you're able to travel, meet all these different girls. You can sign them from anywhere. Because you're not a talent agency. You're not representing the talent to broker the deal. So you don't have to have a license for that. What you can do is you can be a mother agent, which means you scout and you develop the talent. Then you place them with actual big agency. Because you scout them, you get the percentage of that.
Yeah.
I was like, boom.
So you had him basically start a modeling agency.
Nope. Because here's the thing, a modeling agency that you have to have a talent bond. You're going to be easily spending about $40,000 to $50,000 just to acquire the bond. You're also going to need
Okay,
investors because you have to find a location.
So saying
Bookers,
a mother
scouters.
agent is different.
Yeah, a mother agent is basically like so every modeling agency has a scout, right? The mother agent is essentially a scout, and this then what other functions the scout can do is to develop the model to prepare her for when she goes to a big agency, so that way she can get signed. Teach her how to walk, teach her how to pose, teach her how to dress like a model. That's what a lot of scouts will do.
So you had him become a scout because he
essentially became a scout. Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. There you go. And you had him approach models and give them the pitch.
Nope, not models. Potential models. Because a girl who's already a model, she's not gonna. Yeah, potential models. So you're looking for girls
that could be models.
Right? Exactly right, and then you're gonna develop them. So that was his cold approach. But the thing is, he never cold approached. What he did was we taught him to use digital systems. Digital systems, i.e., meaning leveraging social media in order to acquire talent. That's what he did. That was all he did. He paid a VA. The VA would go and do a lot of the outbound outreach. We scripted all the stuff he needed to do. That's what he did. 1 year later, dating a Romanian model, Cambridge graduate, and he's currently, I believe, in Osaka with a trading algorithm that is making him passive money, has stocks in a company, getting ready to be worth about a couple mil, and about to go buy a house in the Hamptons. That was 1 year from him paying me to work with him one-on-one. Now that he's doing. Other client of mine, same thing. Just trained this guy. He said, I don't have the time. I don't really like nightclubs. I like girls that are more the suicide girl. Do an influencer agency because he had a love for content. So what is he doing? 1 year to the day, he's got an influencer agency. He's working with and developing the talent that he wants to develop specifically to do paid brand campaign. And it's currently up in Miami. We were getting ready to get on a call.
Walk me back through that. So he likes suicide girls.
Yeah.
And another programmer type guy.
Yep.
So what did you have him do?
I had him start an influencer management company. So basically, you like suicide girls, which means what you're going to do is find the talent, develop the talent, particularly for how to do brand campaigns for social media. Consult them on how to grow their social media.
Who, the suicide girls? Or okay.
Right, because a lot of big companies, every big company, right, needs influencer marketing. That's getting ready to become like a $10 to $20 billion industry within the next couple of years. Okay, so if we know that, then every big company has to do marketing. And what are the biggest shifts in marketing right now? It's not direct, it's not organic, right? Because all these platforms now, it's all pay to play. So whether that's TikTok, OnlyFans, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all these companies are trying to cut the cost of what it takes to acquire eyeballs. And one of the oldest and most powerful ways of being able to sell something is through third-party referral. You co-signing me, you are doing that right now by giving me access to your audience, by saying, I've heard you were really good. When you do that, you are co-signing me, which then makes people listen to me because of your co-sign, because they trust you.
Of course.
He's doing the exact same thing, just with a specific demographic that he likes, that he wants to date. And now he's making money to game.
Right. Yeah. Great strategy.
And all he does is show up to his events when he meets his talent. And what do you think he's doing? Being the HNIC, head nigga in charge. That's attractive. You're a leader. You got pre-selection, right? Your attention's scarce. They want to really be an amazing talent. They're going to start to qualify themselves to you. They're going to start to invest in you a lot and they also are working to perfect the brand. They want to make the brand look good. They want to make sure they're successful. They want to be the best girls for this particular agency, because by them being represented with you, it also increases their status by doing that, which then also makes them to want to date you because they're investing into you and into your business. The perfect setup. All you have to do at that point, have some social influence skills, and you'll end up dating a couple of the girls, if not more, or from another agency.
They'll all want to date you. Yeah.
Of course.
Who doesn't want to date the HNIC, as he said? So, dude, this has been a really awesome conversation. Some really high level stuff we've talked about here. I really think the guys are going to like this episode. Where can dudes find out more about you, connect with you?
All you have to do is do an immediate search. Just type in Jay McDaniel Conto, and you will find every platform that I'm on, from YouTube to Twitch. I believe I'm supposed to be getting on TikTok as well, starting up this month.
Nice.
My name is very easy to find. Yeah, we're literally getting ready to start launching stuff for TikTok. So yeah,
I'll link to everything below. Obviously, they can just click
for sure.
But yeah, man, it's been great. Thanks so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom. And
I will definitely say this. I think because in this particular episode, what we're doing is talking a lot about social circle. If any of the guys want to, what I love to do is just kind of give away something that's essentially for free. So, I can put a link direct for the guys if they want to get access to like any of the immediate free content. They can just help them with something they can do like right now. It's very easy, like a plan. So I'm going to give away a couple things. One is going to be an immediate a free social media audit. And it's not an audit, it's actual like plan it's one of the things I already made for a client of mine about how to grow their social media pretty rapidly using very organic traffic strategies based on what's working today. That's an immediate free thing that guys can use for their dating. So that way you're using your social media like a personal assistant to then grow your reach, but also to then be attracted to the type of girl specifically you're into. So it's like a full laid out strategy of exactly how to be able to do that. It's my gift to your guys because for allowing me on your platform. Second thing is the psychology of modern flirting. If the guys haven't got it, at least it'll give you the psychology of the way this stuff works. That's my free gift to you. And the third gift is this: how to go ahead and dress to look like an Instagram influencer, because that's going to be a part of your branding. It's a full guide on how to be able to do that. So those three things, my gift to you guys. Just go ahead and, I would say click that link, or have me send me a private message. You just say, hey, I heard from you from the Inner Confidence podcast, or Robbie told me to reach out to you. Reach out to me that way, and I'll go ahead and send that out to your guys, and we'll even put it as a link, so that way guys can directly get access to it.
Yeah, guys, check that shit out. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Jay, thanks, man. It's been fun.
Anytime, brother. Anytime. Guys, honestly, with the advice you're getting here, take it and go execute on it. Suspend your disbelief and just take the tidbits that we're getting here. Instead of asking, it can't be done, just start to ask, how can it be done? How can I make this directly apply to me? And then go out and take action. Like speed of implementation and suspension of disbelief. If you can do those two things, you can really get the stuff mastered. If you really want to take it to another level, hire a coach, hire an instructor. There's so many guys you can reach out to go solve this area of your life. But I will say this: you want to be a championship basketball player, don't go to look for the guy at your local high school. Go to the guy who's trained champions, who's trained athletes, who has a track record, because they can only get you to the area that they've mastered, the things they have. That's my final thoughts.
Yeah, man, you nailed it. Anyone who's just listening to these podcasts and not doing anything, well, you know who you are.
Thanks for listening. If you want more, go to innerconfidence.com, and don't forget to subscribe to this podcast for the latest episodes.